Please do talk a little bit about your organization and, the work you're doing. Thank you.
So briefly, I will talk about the center that we are working on. It's the Center for Responsible AI at IIT Madras. So we work on tech and policy research on responsible AI aspects of AI adoption in Global South generally. And I would like to highlight few initiatives that are relevant to datasets, multilingual grounded data sets that cater to the diverse languages around India. So there is an initiative called AI for Bharat, which hosts different models, data sets, and other frameworks that will help people to adopt AI systems that are that can cater to all 22 official Indian languages in India, and those things are like publicly available data sets and platforms. So for example, we spoke a lot about how do we crowdsource data, how do we annotate data, right? So there is a platform called Shunya which will help the developers and the communities to annotate the crowdsourced data, and that is a platform that could act as an enabler for the developer community, be it startups and other things. From a different perspective, from the central government perspective in India, right? So we have a platform called AI Kosh as part of the India AI mission. So they host a lot of publicly available data sets that are AI ready. So how do we come up with a standard of, say, the standards of data sets which we can declare as AI ready, right? So for the traditional AI models, right? So you know how a statistical data should look like, how machine learning data, say a linear data set should look like. So what is it for the large language models? How are the anonymization made when it's publicly available, right? So those type of standards, the strategies for anonymizing the data that are publicly available, those things are taken care by the AI Coach platform before getting the data uploaded into the platform for public view. So these type of initiatives are happening in India to enable the researchers and the organizations who want to adopt AI for public good. And apart from this, I would like to highlight a couple of issues, or it could be a kind of sensitive aspects which all the developer community should focus on, right? So when we say AI ready data for the public good, right? So we can't always rely on the open data sets that are available in social media or whatever that's there in the digitized documents. So we have to go look for department specific data that is owned by governments. So what is the data sharing policies that is existing in India which will enable people to leverage all the data that is relevant for adopting AI solutions that will make an impact in people's life, right? So all these data sharing policies will have to go through certain process and some approvals from different departments which will take time. That is one of the most challenging thing in India. And people are trying to overcome all these challenges through open sourcing all these data through the AI course platforms where they anonymize certain things, protect certain things, and they get something based on some requests. So they publish certain things saying that, okay, these are the available data, and then you can go request and then access it based on the approvals that you get. Apart from this, the concept of anonymization and the way in which you crowdsource data, right? Those things are the most important things which the developer should be aware of. And crowdsourcing data actually happens only when you build trust between users. So when you want to build trust, there is a main concept of engaging the user community to all through the AI lifecycle, where you start engaging with the community, end user community, right from the design, development, and deployment phase, and ensure that the user needs are met, and also you align with the ethical values and policies of the organization, and that those things are the most important things from the Indian perspective.
Thank you so much, Geeta. There's so much we're trying to condense into this. I feel like we immediately need to follow up. But I'm going to just let us finish this round, and we'll try and get back to some of these things. So many questions in your answers. So I'm going to go to Manu. And Manu, I know you've got a lot to say from career on, and I think it's very well known to a lot of people in the audience. But I think what we haven't covered, and that I would like you to at least touch on, is the question. I mean, we talk about public value and public interest, and building this so that people can benefit from it. But we seldom speak about that. It's still extractive from communities and that, and the revenue sharing kind of things that you've managed to, like, actually, we talk about in theory, but you're actually getting working. Please do share that with us.
Absolutely. One, so happy to follow Geeta because I think she set up the stage so beautifully with some of the things that we've been trying to do in India. I'm so happy to be here. I'm actually representing my colleague Ashwin, who leads so much of her work, who leads all of her work, not so much, all of her work outside India. My name is Manu. Karya is the Sanskrit word for work that gives you dignity. And we think deeply about how can AI be a force of good for all our communities, right? How do we bring accelerated earning and learning opportunities to low-income communities across the global south? And how do we center our communities? I think Geeta spoke so beautifully about the AI value chain. Right? So from data collection to model building to fine-tuning to evaluations, how do we make sure across every single one of these parts of the AI value chain we're not being extractive? And wherever possible, we are giving our communities the highest wages possible, the highest ownership possible, having agency over their lives and over how technology enters them. Feifei Li talks about this beautifully, right? She says that our relationship with technology is fundamentally broken because for all of us in the global south, it is always a foreign object, right? Technology always happens to us instead of happening from us. And the question for this AI moment specifically is how do we think of our communities not just as passive beneficiaries of AI models we built, but as active builders, active evaluators. That's what we've been able to do in India. We've done over 500,000 evaluations, human evaluations in the last year. The last panel actually was talking about some of the work that our communities have been able to do in doing really complex evaluations, right? Who gets to decide if an AI model is working for a domain, for a people, but the people who actually, ask the same questions in that domain, right? And I think that when we started doing evaluations, there's always this patronizing belief in the tech sector that, oh, this is too complicated. No, this work cannot be done by the communities on the ground, right? But it's not, right? Of course, it cannot be surprising to us that we can meaningfully engage our communities to build complex data sets across all, modalities whenever possible. So if we don't open source our data sets or if they're not owned by our clients, we try really hard to give our workers in principle ownership of their data sets so we can do royalties. We've been able to do not a very meaningful amount of that so far, but we're making a big bet on that this year, which I'm really, really excited about, and thinking deeply about how do we make sure our communities don't just get, decent wages, don't just get a say in the revolution, they're centered in it in the most meaningful way possible. And we've been doing this work in India, and last year we expanded to, in 2024, we expanded to Kenya and Ethiopia with the help of incredible partners like Leyu, Bethlehem Desi, who's going to be here, I think, tomorrow from Leyu, and Digital Green, of course, which is based in India and Kenya. And now, thanks to Ashwin, we're expanding to South Africa. So very excited about that. With the help of Lilapa, that is just such an incredible organization. We're so lucky to be able to do that. We're thinking deeply about expanding into Indonesia, into the US, and in every single one of these expansions, I want Karya to be the most silent partner. In that, the engagement should not be called Karya. That's very important to us. And number two, the communities in these countries should own their data sets, should get to benefit from the data sets. And all we want to bring is the platform, is the network, is the learnings that we have had as we have built foundational Indian language data sets that have contributed to things like AI Kosh and Vani and all these things that you will hear about over the next 5 days. And I think I will end with restoring the ability of all our communities. There's no difference in the capability between our communities and the people who currently get to decide how AI is built. And I think with that belief, we want to cheesily build a world in which AI works for all of us. I think that's just really important. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Manu. I'm so short of time. I'm going to move immediately to Diana Mosquera from Diverse.